Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, across the country, around the world. Welcome back to Planet Coaster WestCOT. This is going to be episode 16. Last episode we looked at some of the updates that we got and the new features and rides and whatnot for update 1.2, and the game is now running 1.2.1. However, what you're seeing on screen, I actually recorded this video about a week and a half ago at a point when I had no internet connection. Yeah, my ISP failed, plugged the wrong people into the wrong thing, and didn't plug me in. I didn't have internet for a week, and that was quite the fiasco to get them to reconnect me, because they didn't understand that I wasn't having internet, because they looked and they said, nope, there's internet there, but it's not my router. Anyway, that got resolved. Now my computer's been updated, the game's updated, and it runs a smidgen smoother, but I'm afraid I am starting to run up against the limits on what my computer can do. Anyway, we're moving over here now. We're starting on a new section, which is going to be Bangkok, Thailand. So we're going to extend, we're going to level out the ground. There we go. In this first section that we're going to do here, right next to kind of the future world, right next to the anti-gravity ride, right in front of the monorail track there, is going to be kind of similar to what we did on the other side with Valencia, Spain, where it's something that's a little more modern. And by modern, I don't mean like futuristic modern, kind of like what the Spain thing is. I mean modern, like contemporary, modern day, what you could see right now if you were to go to Valencia too, if you go to Bangkok, Thailand, or really any port city, like what this is all kind of designed around a little bit. Yes, there we go, shaving that back. We got a nice big pathway there. There's going to be stuff overhead for the guests to marvel at, to look at. And this, yeah, now that we've jumped the cut here, this is actually my second attempt at building, well, not this structure, but the next structure. Right here, I was kind of testing out what walls look best, and I liked that one. Even though it's a wood wall, it looks almost like, kind of like corrugated metal, corrugated steel. That's kind of what I was going for these, because they're going to be cargo containers. And this is going to be a little kind of, I don't want to say a container city. Oh, those would have been perfect if they could have been recolorable. Why aren't those recolorable? I think we go, yeah, just the metal roofs at that point. Anyway, we're going to have like a little cargo container city. And out here in front of that, I built that first so I could get a sense of scale. Because I actually built one of these, what I'm building next, before. It was too small, though. It was kind of to a scale, but it wasn't to the scale I wanted. And I had done a little more, like 2 or 3 more Google searches to get images to as a background, as an idea. But here, yes, there we go. We're going to do a cargo crane. So we're building the base of it right here. That was a bit too big. There we go. These are a better size. And I think we're going to put wheels, because underneath these there's different versions of these. You can see they have like what look more like train wheels, which is kind of what I went, like steel wheels that have a flange to it. Versus some, I think, that have a little bit more like rubber tires. It depends on, I think, what they're being used for. But anyway, these are going to become cargo cranes. They're built nearly exclusively out of the art shapes, although I think I also use some of the sci-fi pieces because they have a nice industrial, some of them have a nice industrial look to them, and that works out pretty well, I think. There we go, double that up. So these would be able to traverse back and forth across an area, and that flat spot you see there, kind of the bottom right corner-ish, where the water is, that's where, a ship would dock. And then we build it up here with these I-beams, and when you compare the scale of the bottom part with those wheels to it to the I-beams in their scale, it's not quite correct. It all should be a bit beefier, like where those I-beams are, but it's close enough for me. I'm happy with it. It gets the idea across that, oh, these are cargo cranes. These are what move the cargo containers around. And behind these, toward the monorail track there, I put in a ride. One of the new rides, I've forgotten what it's called. It's not the Zozo. It's the one with the 3 arms with 6 or 8 carriages each that rotate, and then it lifts up and they fly out. And you'll see toward the end we get some shots of that. But here's kind of the base of the cargo crane. And then we build across. Yeah, there we go. Building across to, building up first. That's right. Yeah, you don't build across there because the cargo container needs to be able to go through the middle there. Um, yeah. And at this point, it was like, okay, is this the right shape? Is this the right height? It's like I said, they're not really to the right, correct quote scale for what they are in like the real world. They're not beefy. They're not quite as beefy as they should be, but they get the idea across. And once they're all built out, and the boom arm sticks way out over the water, I think it really carries the idea across. Nope, that's what that's supposed to be. Okay. Here I was doing some diagonal bracing, but it was a bit of a pain. I think I was referencing, images off to the side. But it was a bit of a pain to get that to line up quite right. Did I get it there? Nope, that was too low. Somewhere in between. That's close enough for government work. And unfortunately, those I-beams that are the narrower ones, it look more like I-beams versus really thick and beefy I-beams. They're only 2 meters long, or 1 meter long. No, 2 meters long. I wish they made those longer. There's only a few of those iron beams parts that they give you. And you have to really, really stack again and again and again and again and again and again to get anything that has much structure to it. Yeah. And the way pieces align, like they auto align when you select a collection of them, they don't auto align to themselves, to their own grid. No, they auto align to the world grid. It's a weird thing. It's a slightly annoying thing, I think. Right, so here we're getting up to build the main platform up here that is the main arm, that the crane itself, the thing that goes down on the cables, connects to the cargo containers and picks them up and pulls them in, drops them on a truck or stacks them or whatever. That's the main arm. And then we got the boom arm sticking way out there. And then I decide to double it up and triple it up just to give it a little more depth. So yeah, we keep adding more and more parts. And you can't see it because this is sped up at, I think, 6 times. But yeah, it's the game's getting to a point where it's struggling a little bit. I thought, that enough? Nope. That enough? Nope. That enough? Nope. And I was playing this at this point, and I had no internet, no connection, and I don't have cable. So all I have for entertainment is, the internet. And I was kind of just piddle-farting around with this stuff, and I'll admit, I didn't put in as much effort to a lot of this as I maybe could have. Like, I could have done this, like this supporting guy. I get it close. I get it close-ish, but not great. But it's okay. It works out. I think I get it lined up decently. Yeah, that works. That ends up working. And this becomes the back support because there's going to be some cables, and I actually do use just the electric cables because they're cables. They're actually fairly beefy looking too. But we just use some cables to be the actual, which would be in the real world, cables to support the front of the boom, at least on some. Some of these, from what I've seen, the boom arm that sticks out to the front, that actually sticks out over the cargo ship, some of them look like they are fixed, are solid, are built and reinforced with beefy metal things, and some are movable so that you can raise them up like a drawbridge, and not have them sticking out over water. Whether that's to give a boat more flexibility or what, I'm not sure. So there they are, the 16 meter long cables. So I use those there, and then I think I just used the straight cable down here as the final joiner bit. There we go. And then I think there's one other set that's going to go, that's going to go at a sharper angle to reinforce and support. I mean, none of this is quote correct to scale really even, but like I said, it gets the idea across. I think at this point I'd played this. This was one sitting. Yeah, I can see I'm coming up to the end of this clip in a minute or a moment. And I was just kind of just about done with things because the game was a little slow. The internet and stuff was not correct, and I was frustrated. But I got that little fencing up there because those have fences that, so because guys can walk around on there and check things out, grease them, maintain them, oil them, whatever. And there we go. So there's a couple of them. It's copy pasted because they were their own buildings. And like I said, the legs of them there, kind of scrawny, kind of funny looking, but it gets the idea across. So underneath, I think I just placed it. Oh yeah, we just cut into the next scene. I'm using, it's a sci-fi piece. It's one of the spaceship, cockpit pieces. Yeah, but it gives a good, there, you see it for a second there. It gives a good slanted window that would be looking down at the cargo ship and down at what you're picking up and whatnot. Here I was looking for something that was a little more utilitarian, kind of beefy, kind of like a motor thing. And I found I think it's the MUTT, M-U-T-T body. And I was like, oh, that actually looks pretty good. That looks beefy and motorized and just industrial. So I went with that. And then a couple of AC units back here just to give it a little more something. I don't know what, but a little more something. And then back here, a lot of them have like counterweights to counterbalance the load that is out on the front. So again, I just use some of these art shapes to kind of spread those out. Really basic, really simple, blocky, chunky, simple. But those things, honestly, they're nothing but, I think they're like slabs of concrete that are poured and then stuck together to give you different balance. At least that's what I've seen on cranes in the area by me. Delete that one, copy paste the other one. There we go. Yeah, so all I really have space for is just the two. Any more than that, and it would be a little too cramped, but it gives us a good setup for the area that's going to happen behind it. And that's what's happening next. So we end up building that ride. Again, I forget what it's called, but it's that ride. Maybe we'll see it. Tri-Storm. The Tri-Storm, that's what it's called. Sorry. I'm not great at always knowing those names. Anyway, we build that, and I get the queue going, etc., etc., and that's great. We end up going all the way back and around, and when it's done, the queue isn't big enough still. I might extend it a little. I might do some zigzags in and out of some things off to the side, but yeah. So here I've got those two, or I had that one cargo container building. I just copy it, duplicate it, move it around, and we're going to make a cargo container area. Some places they're stacked nicely. Other places are a little more haphazard. We'll end up double stacking some, and that back part there, you'll actually see you're going to go through 2 or 3 of those guys to get to the entrance. The queue is inside a couple of those guys. But we use these to kind of border the ride, kind of give it an enclosure kind of, so that it feels a little bit, just, to me, it feels just slightly claustrophobic. And we build it up only 2 levels up, so it's not insanely high, but still cargo containers are decent size, so that's going to be 20-25 feet tall. So it's something. And at this point I realized, oh, I've made them all and they're all gray. That's annoying. So I'm going through and changing the colors. However, because the walls and the roofs are always different materials, I have to color everything twice. So yeah, select everything in each building and then deselect and then so it took a little bit. But we go with a few basic kind of primary colors, some tans, some yellows, some browns, red, blue. I think I have green, kind of like a nice evergreen green. And then some, an actual yellow. Yeah, and I think once they're all together and the different colors, they look like cargo containers. I suppose I could take and slap like some signs on them, some text on them somewhere, but I think for now, because the game is performing how it's performing, I don't think I really want to do that just yet. I think I kind of want to leave it as is, simple, and not flesh it out too crazily much. So here we go, extending this guy out as more containers, and all these containers so far are actually 1 by 3, 1 wide by, or 1 deep by 3 wide, whatever. Unfortunately, in the middle, I have to do that one that's 4. It's not a big deal. There are cargo containers of various size. That one's from a different, area that just kind of got dumped here. Who cares? It works. But that whole queue there is enclosed And I think that's kind of cool. Oh yeah, so here I kind of want to see what this ride does, because I hadn't seen it yet. But it goes, it spins, gets you up a little bit of G-forces, and then it raises you up. And oh, if I watch this for too long at normal, like when I was recording the cinematic views, I could feel my throat like not fun. So that's that. Anyway, so now we got the basic kind of ground level layout going. I wanted to get the second level so that, again, things felt a little bit more enclosed. And once we're finished, on the side there, over that one blue container there that you see in the top right, it's gone now, one container sticks out kind of perpendicular to it, and the bottom of the vehicle comes about, I don't know, a couple feet away from hitting. So it's pretty close. It's a little nerve-wracking. It's enough to give, like, if it were a roller coaster, it'd be like a head chopper moment. It's enough to give you that type of feeling to it. Yeah, I think like I said, it's a wood pattern wall. It's what wood batten, I think. But the shape of it, the texture of it, and all those things, it comes across pretty well as a cargo container. I'm actually quite pleased. I thought it would look too wooden, but it doesn't. It actually looks pretty cool, to quote C-Top. And then here, most of them up till there had lined up pretty much squarely on top of each other, but because these over here are at more of an angle, I decided to add the roofing to the bottom. I know it's not a consistent thing, but it's not a horrible thing either. Let's see, what do I grab? I think I grab something else. Oh, I thicken this up over here. Then eventually I stick one out perpendicular over there. Yeah, so we flesh this out here so it's kind of closed up, and so it's not as dull from the other side. Yeah, so that it's a little more of a full thing here, so that when you're in the future world, you can kind of it's a little more beefy and imposing. It's not just a simple thing. Yeah, and that turns out fairly nicely. I'm pleased with that. I think these are the last few boxes to go in. I think that one goes at an angle. Yeah, good. And then I think we get one more blue one that's sticking up here. And I get it just shy of the right envelope so that the thing feels like it's gonna hit. And then I was trying to put concrete underneath, or I do, and actually, and a new feature to the game that I had heard about on somebody else's YouTube, and then I looked for it. I'm like, oh wait, that's this thing. You can now allow collisions. Collisions are a thing. Collisions? Clipping. Collisions? It's a setting. I think you might even see me go to it here. I can't remember if I turned that off or not. But here, it's like, nope, I can't build it around the ride. Balls. So I was like, okay, let me do what I can. Let me click, 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 and do everything over here. But here, settings, and enable scenery collisions. Yeah, there we go. So you can put that concrete through there. And it's just slightly above ground level anyway. So it's just perfect for hiding the paths and hiding that lowest level of the attraction itself. And that's about it for this build, or for this episode, not this build, but for what I built for this episode. Just a few benches, kind of with those blue industrial. I think of those as like low-end parks, those blue meshy, whatever those things are. Oh yeah, tweak the colors, make it all gray, so it's kind of more utilitarian. But as soon as it's open, guests are there right away. Oh yeah, security's a new thing too, and I haven't quite gotten a hang of that yet. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Sorry for the delay. Hope to get more coming out soon. Thanks for watching. Whoa, I didn't realize I had cinematic shots on this too. Oh, that's fun. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, pass the word. I will catch you later.